But I want to go now to another shocking case of anti-Semitism and a worrying sign for our democracy, with the Australian Jewish Association receiving death threats, warning them not to appear at a Senate hearing this morning to review Labor's misinformation legislation. This image I'll show you now of a noose was sent via Facebook with the message, "If you dare show up at the Senate committee hearing, you will all be Delta Indy Echo." Not much of a stretch to work out what they mean there. Joining me now, President of the Australian Jewish Association, David Adler. Well, David, I think this is horrific. I think it's shocking. But I'm also proud to say you turned up at that hearing today. You spoke your mind on the misinformation legislation, the threats to free speech. We'll get into that substantive detail in a moment. But
sure. As
far as shocking things go on, and there's been plenty of them in the last 12 months, what was your reaction to that message?
Peter, it's not an isolated example. We have received many threats, as have many people in the Jewish community, businesses, facilities, etc. We have a crisis of anti-Semitism in this country, and unfortunately our government and law enforcement authorities are not yet dealing with it properly. This morning I got a phone call from the Secretariat of the Senate Committee, and they asked me whether we wanted, in view of the threat, to give our evidence in camera, in other words, out of the public view. But I said to them, no, we would like to proceed as normal, and that's exactly what we did.
All right. I presume now this goes to Senate authorities, perhaps to the police?
Yeah, the Senate committee have referred the matter to the Australian Federal Police, and hopefully the AFP will be able to trace the perpetrator and deal with it. There are special rules concerning witnesses appearing before parliamentary committees, as I'm sure you know.
That's right.
You're not allowed to threaten them, you're not allowed to intimidate them, you're also not allowed to bribe them. In other words, witnesses should be able to speak their mind without outside influence. And I'm not sure what the penalties are for breaching these rules, but clearly sending a potential witness a death threat, saying that they shouldn't turn up, saying that they will die in the event that they do turn up. And there's another interesting aspect of this particular example, Peter. The committee obviously was dealing with a subject that is not about the Middle East conflict. It's not about what Israel is involved in. It's not about what the protests on our streets are all about. So we have an example here of a person or a group saying that this Jewish organisation should not participate in the democratic processes of Australia. So in that respect, it's actually an elevation in the subject that the threat is trying to get us to stop, without success, of course.
Particularly, of course, Dave, that legislation is all about free speech at its heart and silencing Australians from free speech online. I want to get a comment from you, though, on the shocking vision we saw out of Amsterdam on Friday. The Israeli soccer supporters attacked in what the city's mayor has described as anti-Semitic hit-and-run squads. Fans were attacked. Riot police were forced to intervene. I'm told, though, that on the streets there were no arrests. There were some arrests inside the stadium, but not on the streets. That's the latest information I have. And we saw that the terrible situation of the Israeli government forced to send aircraft to Europe to evacuate its citizens. The Dutch king was forced into the media over the weekend. He said, "We failed the Jewish community during World War II, and last night we failed again." The Dutch MP Geert Wilders, he wants the immediate deportation of anyone involved in these attacks. I think Jews around the world, particularly because this occurred in Europe, David, must be reacting with great pain and trepidation to what they're seeing out of Europe.
100%. And last weekend, was the anniversary of Kristallnacht, which infamously was an attack on Jews and Jewish businesses in the streets of Europe. That was the 9th, 10th of November. So it does have echoes of the Holocaust without a doubt. And this is pre-planned. There has now been leaked some evidence from social media text messaging, as well as a video that Geert Wilders released showing a perpetrator driving towards the attacks, saying that we're on a Jew hunt today. Some people are trying to deflect this and blame some isolated poor behaviour amongst the Israeli football fans, but without a doubt, this is a pogrom. This is what globalised the Intifada is a bit about. It's about a pre-planned, organised attack in the streets on people who were just going about their business by and large. Dreadful.
And David, I'll leave it there, but I saw a very, very powerful comment posted on social media to say, if you want to know the argument for Israel, in this instance of Jews being hounded in Europe, we had an Israeli government with Israeli planes be able to collect people and return them to a safe country. We didn't have that in the Second World War, as we obviously know. I'll leave it there, David. Good on you for fronting up today.